Yeah. Where did he go? I'm gonna text him and tell him to bring this one. Kevin, Mr. Bailey, Shameen Clark Hubbard.
Hey.
I'm gonna see if, cause Kevin brought those over. Mr. Bailey,
Yeah, he was trying to get your attention.
it covers 3 hours,
How we looking?
3 hours.
We good? Y'all ready?
They don't cover meter parking, just the parking lot, and it only goes for 3 hours. It says on the thing.
Absolutely. No, we doing it. Are we ready? Are we on? Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, the viewers might not know that we got a room full of amazing people here today, and we've been speaking and dialoguing prior to the meeting started, and we're about to go ahead and get it started. So again, my name is Shameen Clark Hubbard. I humbly serve as Alder Lady in the 10th Ward of the City of St. Louis. This is the HUD's Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee. And this is our hearing for today on May 30th. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Present.
Alderwoman Sanye, Alderman Browning,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderwoman Sanye. Present. We have 5 present, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I will accept a motion for the approval of the minutes from Tuesday, May 16th.
Motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, May 16th.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Alderman Browning.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes.
Great. Thank you. So what we'll do now is move on with our board bills for review. We're moving the agenda around in order to be accommodating for Ms. Alderwoman Keys and all of her guests here. We don't want you to have to be rushed or anything, so we're going to get our other 2 items out of the way so that we can get down to the business of you and you all, hearing from you all on behalf of Alderwoman Laura Keys. So with that, I will call Alderwoman Schweitzer up. I open the floor for a presentation of Board Bill 35.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Would it be possible for the clerk to read the introduction to Board Bill number 35?
Board Bill Number 35, introduced by Alderwoman Ann Schweitzer, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission on May 10, 2023, to change the zoning of property as indicated on the district map from the A Single-Family Dwelling District, the F Neighborhood Commercial District, and the G Local Commercial and Office District to the G Local Commercial and Office District in City Block 5653, 4910 through 12 Gravois Avenue. so as to include the described parcel of land in City Block 5653 and containing an emergency clause.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. So as she just read, this bill is to change the zoning of a parcel from 3 different zoning districts to 1, the G commercial, and that's to accommodate the Crossroads Senior Living at the Bevo Mill, which you all have packets about, thankfully provided by Mr. Sean Spencer in the back. So a few people here with me to answer any questions folks may have. We have member representatives from the Planning and Planning Commission, Planning Department rather, and then Sean Spencer from Tower Grove Community Development Corporation, which is building the senior living parcel. And basically, in order to make this happen, this bill needed to go through so that the entire parcel would be zoned in a way that would allow for this project to occur. That's the long and the short of it. If people have questions, I think my guests would be better prepared to answer any sort of specifics that people have.
I think we'll go ahead and bring your guests up so they can get sworn in, and then they
Wonderful.
can be available for any questions that the committee members may have.
That's perfect, thank you.
Madam Clerk, can you swear them guests in?
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. We can go ahead and go in order here. Alderman Browning, do you have any questions?
No questions right now.
Okay. Alderman Cone, do you have any questions?
I'm very familiar with the project. I live not too far away from the site of the former Midwest Bank Center, Southern Commercial Bank that used to be here. I also sat on the Planning Commission as Mr. Spencer has been before us before already talking about the plans for this particular building, and I think that it's definitely a need in the community, particularly in the Bevo area. There's not a lot of affordable senior housing available for folks that can also accommodate kind of multiple levels of accessibility, thank you, Alderwoman, for our senior community. So I think that this is a welcome addition to the neighborhood based off of all the comments and feedback that I've heard from residents and neighbors around here, and very supportive of the project. Thank you for making the time to be here this morning, or this afternoon.
All right, Vice Chair Sangyear.
No questions at this time.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. I'm sure Alderwoman Schweitzer doesn't have any questions about her own bill, so I will entertain a motion, unless you want to close first, and then we'll entertain a motion for you. Board Bill 36.
Thank you so much. I would just love everyone to take the time to look at the project details part of the slide, which describes all of the amazing things that will be happening in this project. So I appreciate that you all are, gave the time to hear this bill today, and I ask for your favorable consideration of Board Bill 35.
Thank you. I'd make a motion that we adopt Board Bill 35 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
So moved, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanyé,
Aye.
Alderman Browning,
Aye.
Chair Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes.
Okay. I will reintroduce Alderwoman Schweitzer
I'm back.
on hearing Board Bill number 36.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, can you please read the summary of Board Bill 36?
Board Bill number 36, Board Bill number 36, introduced by Alderwoman Ann Schweitzer. An ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission on May 10, 2023, to amend the boundaries of the Bevo Mill Area Special Use District, hereinafter the Bevo SUD, as indicated on the map shown in Amendment Exhibits A and B, so as to include the remaining portions of the parcels 5653-9-220.001 as described in Section 1 below in the City Block 5653.00, to amend the boundaries of the Bowtie, Sabaria, of the Bevo SUD to include the same portions of parcel 5653-9-220.001 and containing an emergency clause.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So in the same way, this bill is attempting to take the entire section, the entire parcel of property that will be developed and make sure that it's all part of the Bevo Special Use District. So as to have everything fitting under the same uses and making sure that it's all standardized across the project for what district that it belongs in. So it's very similar to the previous bill we just approved in this committee to go through the full board. In that it's just consolidating the parcel into the special use district.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'll go ahead and move down. Alderman Browning, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Alderman Cone, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Vice Chair Sanye, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right. With that, I'll let you close and renew the motion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time in hearing this bill, and I appreciate your favorable consideration.
I move that we adopt Board Bill number 36 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
No opposition to previous roll. With that, you have successfully passed both of your bills, 35 and 36. Congratulations, Alderwoman Sanye and Mr.
Thank you.
Spencer. Right. Now on to the fun part. I see we also had our Budget Director, Paul Payne, enter the room. Since there will be, I'm sure, plenty of questions about this legislation that we'll need answers from him. So I'm not sure if someone saw him, can call him back into the room. And we will go ahead and call, who invited you here, Alderwoman Laura Keys, to the podium to introduce her board bill number 3. After that, we will proceed with swearing you all in to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, the same way you would count on us to do for you all, right? The same way that you would account for your elected officials to tell you all the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So with that, Alderwoman Keys, you can proceed with your introduction of Board Bill number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the HUD's committee. So this is Board Bill number 3. This was actually introduced last session as Board Bill number 177. The Board Bill provides for or asks for a $500 payment stipend to senior citizen homeowners who have resided in their homes for 10-plus years. There are some income guidelines, as I was advised this morning in speaking with our comptroller, that we did need to put into place. So there is an amendment that was added just an hour or so ago to this. We really would like to see this assist our seniors with a variety of different issues that they are struggling with. The true impetus for me doing this board bill is that, the mayor introduced a bill some time ago to assist single-parent households with children in St. Louis Public Schools, which is great. I voted for that. But our senior citizens are left out of the equation. I am using the same financial rubric as what was used for them to ask for the passage of Board Bill number 3.
Amen. All right. Woo. All right. I will know we'll do some clarification on some of the things about the legislation that was passed prior. It's called guaranteed basic income. We can do that another time. And who's able and who that's applicable for and who is not. But what we'll do now is go ahead and swear in everyone at one time. And then Alderwoman Keys, I'm sorry, I think since she's given her introduction, I think we'll go ahead and ask Budget Director Payne to come up and answer the fiscal questions, because Alderwoman Keys, do you have a fiscal note for this?
A fiscal note? Mm-hmm. I'm not aware.
Okay.
I spoke with the comptroller this morning.
I did too. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and see if is Budget Director Paul Payne out here? And then we'll go ahead and start. You
Well, if we
begin to
can,
come.
I'd like to go ahead and have some of the guests who must leave. They are here, you know,
Okay,
having
perfect.
left work.
Yeah, we don't wanna hold them
So
anymore.
if we can go ahead and get them sworn in and then let those few
Absolutely.
people know, if we can, we're all here for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to take up the whole day. This is important. Let's make no doubt about it. This is important. But we do want to, let's say, maybe have, 5 people? You only get a few minutes up here. But trust me, anybody who comes to speak on this board bill, they are covering the same thing that you are here for. It's just that, you know, I don't know quite how many people here, but there are a lot. And so we don't want to take up the whole day of our committee nor your day when we're all asking for the same thing on one accord. Okay?
Okay, and so as chairperson of this committee, I just, again, you heard me talk about how encouraged I am that you all took the time out of your day to come down and engage in this process, so I'm not going anywhere. I'll listen and to hear to everyone that has something to say. If you signed up on the sheet, the person who invited you here, Alderwoman Keys, will call you up, and then you can speak, and we will be ready to hear to all of your concerns. Take notes. Again, this is being live recorded on STL TV and aired live on YouTube right now, so if there's something that we'll have to go back to, we will. But your time is so valuable. Your place in this city is so valuable, so I want to make sure that all of you know, anybody that showed up here that wants to speak, there's a 3-minute cap on your testimonies. You can speak, or you can yield your time to someone else.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, do we have a copy of the as amended number 3?
There's no amendment.
I have an amendment.
Clerk Kennedy's going to prepare it and bring it over.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll go ahead, Madam Clerk, if you can swear everybody in the room in.
If I can get everyone to raise their right hands, please. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
All right.
I'd like to call Pastor Amber Cole to speak.
Thank you, committee. I'm gonna go fast because I'm on my lunch break. Per Mayor Tatora Jones, my administration top priority is now getting the urgent relief, including 500 direct payments. And I'm not gonna read all that, the statement that she had made for us, that last $500. I am a homeowner and over 65 years of age that will not meet the qualification for those benefits. Those that are in my category appears to not be eligible for anything, even though we have withstood the test of time as city residents. We have stayed in the city while others have left. We have been taxpayers, and when it's time for us to receive, we're fine. We're fine, and we're not eligible, or the funds are not available, or literally gone. During election time, we get promises that don't materialize. In addition, I would like to see individuals that are employed with the City of St. Louis to be eligible for these funds. It appears that the city employees are being denied funds from ARPA just because their employment status. As many are aware, employees' salaries are very low. Some are unable to and can't afford to retire. And when they do retire, I believe they can't even enjoy their latter days in comfort of their home. They are squeezed from both ends. They find themselves making the decisions to making repairs on their homes or paying utility bills or purchasing foods. The bills will not do anything for me personally. However, many of my community households will get the necessary assistance that they need. Consider me as a mandated reporter for adult abuse and neglect. Abuse, the infliction of physical, sexual, emotional injury or harm. That's what we get. Neglected, the failure to provide services to the eligible adults by any person, firm, corporation, or legal contractual duty to do so. Financial exploitation, the persons committed the crime of financial exploitation of an elderly or a disabled person if such person knowingly and deception, intimidation, or force to control over the elderly or disabled. Bullying, intimidating and harassment that causes a reasonable person to fear for his or her physical safety. That's us. I have been paying attention to the budget hearings, and majority of those that presented did not address issues that seniors encountered, and if they did, it was last mentioned. I don't believe my community should be denied attention because we learn to juggle and manage our income effectively. Many of those in our communities are being abused by those that's supposed to look out for us, as
That's
stated,
time.
mentioned.
I'm sorry, that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. All right, we do have our budget director back in the room, so we'll go ahead and hear from him quickly. He's going to stay and be able to answer questions. But just to report, and some of the colleagues and I received some questions as well about the current status of ARPA funding in the city of St. Louis.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the committee. This is a little impromptu, but
Yes, I'm sorry, we didn't know it was going to be this big of a crowd. Thank you,
Okay.
Alderwoman Keys.
So, again, I understand you're talking about ARPA appropriation. What I have brought to you, and I believe this was posted online, is the update of the existing appropriations. Now, as you may know, the city has already appropriated its entire ARPA appropriation. So now there would be, I assume, coming forward at some date in the future, a reappropriation of those items that would not have been spent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about additional ARPA appropriations, you have already appropriated them all, and I could share this with this graphic with the
Okay.
members of the committee.
Just for clarity, what our budget director, this is Paul Payne, the budget director for the city of St. Louis, and what he's sharing with us is the to-date ARPA appropriations for the city of St. Louis.
Yes, the city received $498 million in ARPA allocations in two installments, the first one being in June of 2021, the second one being in June of 2022. And you see so that's the total award to date, and under that you also see allocations to date, and there's a various list of ordinances. The first one being we were going to use in FY22 for to meet some lost revenue, but eventually we did not need that, so that was reappropriated. But you can see all those ordinances listed, starting with the Board Bill 2, which is ordinance number 71393. That was $122,090,000. That was the first appropriation, and it goes through some capital appropriations of $69.58 million. That was ordinance 71494. Ordinance 71504, which is the North City corridors, was $39 million. Ordinance 71505 was $19 million. That was in last year's budget ordinance. Ordinance 71554, that was the reproductive equity and COVID tests and vaccination efforts of $3.9 million. Ordinance 71555, which was health and public safety youth programs and violence prevention, that was $13.6 million. You had ordinance number 71561, which was for the Regional Arts Commission of $10.6 million. You had some various ARPA appropriations in 71591, which was $52.21 million. You also had in 71592 of $93 million, and you had a final appropriation of ordinance 71650, which was the Calm Streets and some other capital, totaling $74 million. So if you add all those up and subtract out that very first one of $17.3 million, there's your $497.8. So all of your ARPA allocations have been appropriated at this point.
Okay, and what I want to make sure that, again, for our people that are viewing and the people that are in the room, our amazing guests, this is all public information. This is all on the website. What I'll do, though, is ask one of our clerks to make copies of this and leave this over here as well, so that you all can see where the ARPA dollars have gone, where they've been allocated here in the city of St. Louis. And with that, I'll see if any of the committee members have any questions for Budget Director Payne, and then we'll go right back into the testimonies.
I have a question. Director Payne, I'm just curious. So Board Bill number 3 states that it's also been approved by the estimate and apportionment for the appropriation of these funds. The Board Bill number 3 states that it's been approved by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment for the appropriation of these funds.
Correct.
Has that occurred?
That has not occurred.
Okay. And then if this were to pass, how would that affect the budget?
Well, at this time, the Board of E&A probably would not sign off on a bill simply because you're appropriating more than what's available currently to be appropriated. So it wouldn't be correct.
Okay. So in addition, it hasn't currently been approved by E&A. If we do pass it, it would likely not be approved by E&A because the funds are not available, as they've already all been allocated at this point in time. In order to address those concerns, we would need to reappropriate some of the funds that have already been appropriated.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
And in order to reappropriate the funds, my understanding is we'd have to first repeal some portion of a ordinance that we've already passed.
I believe that would probably be the way to go about it, yes.
Okay, so just to summarize, there are no funds available for this bill right now.
The funds for ARPA have all been appropriated upon receipt, yes.
So there are 0 ARPA dollars available.
That have not been
That have not been
appropriated.
appropriated.
Right.
Although, of course, not all, we've talked about this a lot, not all ARPA funds have been encumbered.
That's correct.
So there are ARPA funds that have been appropriated, but not encumbered or not spent.
That's correct. You'd have to revisit an existing.
And if we wanted to do that, we'd have to repeal something we already passed. That would need its own board bill. And it would have to, and then we would come through and have a new bill for a new appropriations bill.
Yeah, I don't know the legal
Sure.
the methodology
You're
of
being
getting
asked
there.
to do a lot right now. And we appreciate you being here.
But getting to that point, yeah, you would have to unappropriate some amount that had already been appropriated to free up the funds for a new appropriation, correct?
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just kind of confused about what we're doing. All right, thank you so much for being here. I know it was short notice. Appreciate you
Thank you.
spending the time.
And I have one last question. Do you know when they were all appropriated?
Well, the final appropriation was the Calm Streets. That was, February, I want to say?
Okay.
That was probably the final one.
Bosley's bill.
Alderman Bosley's bill, okay. So Alderman Bosley's bill allocated the final ARPA funding here in the city of St. Louis. That was during our last session.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Budget Director Payne. Nobody else has any other questions? Okay, I want to move back to the people. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. So what I'm hearing, and I want to make sure that everybody here understands. So what Mr. Payne is saying is that there are millions of dollars that were allocated, but none for you. So, and that, for me, is a problem advocating for my constituents, for constituents, senior citizens, stakeholders all across this city. So yes, I will be seeking to redraw however the lines are. If we can go and get Rams money, however we get it, we need to do something for our senior citizens who have been drawn out of the millions of dollars that have been allocated across this city. This is unacceptable. If we can do this for single-parent households with children in our St. Louis public schools, then surely we can do this for our senior citizens who are struggling to pay for their medication, who are struggling going to food pantries because they cannot afford to go to mainstream grocery stores for the assistance that they need. So I urge every alderman in this city to stop what you're doing and advocate for your constituents as well. These people need you. They have been here for this city. They have held the line for this city. They kept our city from going under because so many people left, but they stayed. We've got to do better, and we've got to do it now, and we've got to do it for them.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Stephanie Taylor.
Hi, Miss
Hi. Born and raised in this city.
Pull the mic down just a little bit. I know some people speak softly.
Born and raised in this city. My mother was a strict person with all her 12 children to vote. And I am a voter. My daughter, my grandson is a voter. I've been in my home now since 2006. Single parent, single homeowner, and I had to keep up with every mortgage, and I have two. And what I'm saying to you, there is no income limit when they increase my mortgage. There's no income limit when they increase the sewer bill. I got the same property, it hadn't grown. There is no increase when they increase the water and the refuse bill and put it together every 3 months. The sewer bill is every month. That's over $162 every month that I have to pay. I am retired, and I struggle to maintain the upkeep of my home. And if any appliances break down, that's something else. Fortunately, I can include that in one of my mortgages. Okay, then what happened? We get the PP money, the $1,400 or whatever. Then we come back, our doggone real estate taxes done went up. Personal property taxes done went up. Car taxes done gone up. You get a ticket in the city of St. Louis, it's done went up from $10 if you don't pay it in 10 days, 14 days. That's what, $20, but now it's $20, so it go up to $40. You know, so what I'm saying is that I know that I have to pay for people who cannot pay, and I respect that, I understand that, I accept that, I have paid it forward. All of us have. All of us have paid it forward. Your parents, I am 71 years old, and I don't mind working for me, but all I'm saying is that this money came in, and when I read about it, it was over $550 million. That's what I read, and it came in 2 increments. The first one in February or March of that year, and then it was going to come 6 or 9 months later of the next year. So when this controller or who budget man come in here saying 400 and something, you know, that meant nothing to me because I do read. And I do try to keep up, and I try to be an active citizen in this city because I love this city. I love the sirens. I love the fire trucks. I love the ambulance, you know. I don't like all the shots where I live, you know. But it's dangerous where I live, and I live on a nice thoroughfare. You know, my safety is compromised where I live.
I'm sorry, ma'am, that's time.
Okay,
And
but
can you
please
provide-
help us.
Can you provide me with your name, ma'am?
Stephanie Taylor.
Thank you.
It's Stephanie
Good to
Taylor.
see you, Miss Taylor.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Catherine Hawkins, and I am here on behalf of my mother, Dora McWilliams, who is 87 years old. She is one of the people who lives on Pope Avenue that keeps her house up, keeps her lawn up, and is a good neighbor. And she is struggling right now to pay bills and to get medicine because of issues that are going on. And this would be a blessing for her and for the people in the neighborhood, for her to be able to get these funds so that she can live in the neighborhood that she's been in for 50 years. She liked to stay there, and she liked to stay there comfortably. So she needs any assistance that she could get. And she's never asked for any help. She's never come to any of these meetings, but she asked that I would come today and to speak on her behalf. So I'm saying to you guys and anybody who can hear my voice, if there's a way to help, we need help. My mother has been in the city all of her life. She's paid her bills, she's paid the sewer bills, the water bills, the trash bills, everything. She needs some help, and if it's available, I think that she ought to be able to get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosalind Jackson. I'm in the 11th Ward with Alderwoman Keys. Thank you so much for inviting us, you all. I am 69, and I've lived at 4552 Clarence for 32 years. And before that, I lived on Fair, still in the 11th Ward. Me and a couple other residents that live in the block of 4500, we cut grass on properties that do not belong to us.
Thank you.
That means we spend gas money out of my pension. And I believe that most of the times when any program comes past, I'm not eligible for it because I make just a few dollars more. But some money every month would be great for me, even though I make a few dollars more, to continue to do the work that I would love for our community, to continue to cut grass or hire someone maybe sometimes to cut my grass. It would be lovely just to support the seniors that continue to support St. Louis City, as well as all of the elected officers, including alder people. It would be wonderful if the seniors were finally taken care of, regardless of what income they had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's great seeing so many committed neighbors
Yes.
out here.
Yes.
My name is Elaine Laura, Laura, and I'm here to say that I'm a daily subscriber to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And about 2 years ago, they ran an article stating that we received all of this money because North St. Louis was the hardest hit population with COVID. North St. Louis had the first woman to die from COVID. The money was beefed up because of North St. Louis. And I think it's a disservice. It's just downright wrong for the city of St. Louis budget director to come in here and say all, not some, all of the money has been earmarked for something else. I have not been the recipient of any federal, state, city programs based upon income all my life. Not one red dime. Once, I did draw unemployment, but because I was laid off as a natural response of being a teacher, they told me I was not getting paid over the summer and send that money back. So I think it's a shame It really is terrible. And I just wish you folks could do something, but I know your hands are tied since the budget is set in stone. So it's kind of fruitless for us to be up here.
No, ma'am, it's not. It's not. No, it's not.
You think there's going to be some change?
Not. I'm saying, I don't, and I'm probably out of order, but I would never want you to feel like it was no value in you all, anyone being here. It is.
But I'd like to also put in for the water department. I'd like to address MSD and the need to look at the attribute billing of both the St. Louis City Water Department and MSD. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just to note that, this is just for general information, all of our meetings, again, are public meetings. You can walk into any of our committee hearings. We do have a public utilities meeting. On every agenda, there is announcements or discussion, and that chairperson of that committee can have you come up if you want to speak to that, or you can have your elected alderperson invite those entities to a ward meeting so that you can make sure that all of your questions are answered.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Marilyn, and I just want to reiterate what a couple of the people there said today. Funds that, and I believe her. You're all making us feel like we're not important because you have money for every, I'm telling you, that's how we feel. That, you know, you have money for everything except for the seniors. They're always left out of something. I'm a disabled American veteran. I can serve my country and get hurt, and I still don't qualify for anything. It's just not fair. And what we'd like for you to do, Mr. Cone, you know, all of you, that, you know, tell us point blank, oh, well, the funds have been allocated. Well, what are we doing here? Thank you, Ms. Keys, for thinking about us, because no one ever does, it seems. And just like the other lady, I get the grass cut in my neighborhood as well, and I pay for it. And I don't qualify for anything financially, but I wish you guys would reconsider for those who do. They need that money, and we ask that you give it to them.
I just want to take a moment and explain, there is a process by which funds are allocated, and all of you being here is a huge testament to the intent of the Alderwoman with respect to appropriating these funds. The budget director indicated that the monies that the federal government has given us have already been allocated, and that is correct. That is a correct statement. It doesn't mean that they can't be reappropriated, okay? But that's not what this board bill currently does. It does not reappropriate funds. It's appropriating funds that aren't there. So that is the clarification that I need to make sure is out there. We can reappropriate funds. 100% we can, but that's not what this board bill is currently written to do. So I just want to be clear about that. The other thing that I just want to make sure folks are aware of, some of the money, and I just did this, you know, during this hearing, but, you know, the budget director provided, and there's handouts, I believe he left some, that, you know, indicate what some of the other spending that has already been appropriated is for. And I'm just going to read some of it. I haven't gone through all of it, but there was almost $12.5 million for utility assistance. That is something that seniors are eligible for. There is $2.5 million for mortgage assistance. There is $500,000 for real property forgivable loan assistance. There was $2 million for senior services in one of the board bills. There was $1 million for food assistance. There was $15 million for our Healthy Homes program, which is also something that many seniors in our communities take advantage of. There was $1 million for adult education programs. There's $500,000 for job training. There's $5 million for general basic income program, or guaranteed basic income program, and there was $1 million separately for another senior service allocation and then there was another $13.5 million for housing stabilization. So that's just a little bit of the breakout that has already been allocated previously, not by this current board, because all of the funds were allocated previously by the former board of alderpersons. But I just want to share with you some of the other previous allocations that have been made. And again, it's not that we can't reappropriate and reallocate these funds. We can. That's just not how this current board bill is written. And then lastly, I know a couple of folks have mentioned water bills and MSD. So the city does have, responsibility for the water division, but MSD itself is not actually a city department. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that, but that's actually a county and city board that's made up by appointees of the mayor and the county executive. All of those rate increases are approved by them. Those rate increases don't come through the Board of Aldermen. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that too.
Mr. Cohen, I agree with you, but all of those programs that you mentioned, you have to qualify for them.
And
This money that we're talking
but
about
this
now.
also is a program that you would have to income qualify for as well. So this is,
Right.
the way this is written, you would have to earn around $31,000 or less to qualify for it. So similarly to the other programs that you have to be income eligible for, the way this board bill is written, you would also have to be income eligible for this as well.
Okay, so that still kind of leave out some of, or not, maybe most of the seniors in here who are homeowners.
Well,
I don't disagree. I'm just telling you guys
And
how
with
this
this
is
bill,
written.
and Ms. Taylor, thank you
just
so
telling
much.
you how
You
it's
can call me anytime. We'll let the other speakers come on up and speak.
Another point I'd like to make, when we start to talk about these other programs for our seniors, a lot of our seniors don't have internet, are not internet savvy, don't know how to get the application. Some will even need assistance with getting those applications filled out. We have seniors who are in their 70s, 80s, and yes, even 90s and a few 100s. And these seniors need assistance in every kind of way. So I will be looking into how do we reappropriate some monies to help our senior citizens. Maybe this board bill doesn't do it, but I'm coming right back. And I'm coming right back and I'm asking for the same thing. This fight is bigger than me. It's bigger than the people who are here in this room. And we will not be deterred from getting some kind of assistance for our senior citizens, that they are not going through 1,000 pieces of red tape to get the help that they need.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman Keys. I will have you come up afterwards to answer after the speaker, so that you can speak to what the guidelines will be for your legislation, the income guidelines will be for your legislation. Okay, and I do want to make sure, and I'll say this again, because again, I know viewers are watching, I'm getting messages, that everyone in the city of St. Louis knows that our administration and our St. Louis city government has the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging. The St. Louis Area Agency on Aging, which is a department set up specifically for seniors in the city of St. Louis, which one of the board bills I passed in the prior session put allocations and additional allocations and funding into that department, again, specifically for seniors in the city of St. Louis. And as it relates to being on the internet, please don't let that be a barrier. All of you all, please reach out to your elected officials or absolutely, Alderman Cone, Public Library. If you need help with applications or anything, that's what we, again, would be here for. So thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Cleopa Hayes, and I live in the 11th Ward.
How you doing, ma'am?
Okay. And if I'm chosen for the program, I would use the money for immediate neighborhood betterment. And I wrote this down so I could keep it straight. Attention to vacant lots where people have moved and perhaps the landlord has forgot to come back and take care of the property. Because sometimes this property needs digging up, conditioning, and you need to plant grass, and you need to mow the grass, and you need to keep it up. And my next one is picking up paper. Somebody got to pick it up. I know people don't intend to throw it down, but it ends up down anyway. And my next one is managing leaves. because according to my experience, leaves are more dangerous than snow. And my next one is attention to LRA property. I know they do an excellent job of cutting 2 times a year, but there's plenty of time left for things to happen. And I've been doing this for a number of years and will continue to do so, whether the funds go through or not. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you, ma'am. What did you say your name was, ma'am? Miss Hayes?
7th Ward.
Miss Hayes, 11th Ward. I want you to know that me personally, I would not want you to use your $500 stipend to do any of the things you named on that list. We need to make sure that the entities that are in place are doing that, and you will be able to do that for yourself. You wouldn't have to do that for yourself. Thank you, ma'am. Amen.
My name is Geraldine Hopkins. I've been in the city since '64. And like any and everybody else in here have said, who care about the city, they do vacant property, they out of their pockets, and I want to know why is it that these young people who have not worked as long as we have get money and blow it. We as adults and older people, we the one who trying to keep the neighborhood together. We pick up the trash. We cut the vacant lots. We ain't got no young people helping us. And every time you turn around, this mayor want to give the young people money. Give them money. Help us. Bills are going up. Food have went up. Utilities have went up. Don't tell me I don't need no help. Because when I get through paying my bills, I'm wondering where my next dollar coming from. I'm wondering where my next dollar coming from. I done helped kids in the neighborhood who didn't have parents to be there for them. I have looked out for, took them under my wing, and tried to make a difference out of them. I don't understand why you all leave the elderly people out of everything. You all give these young people money going and coming. I don't see nothing they doing with it. They ain't trying to keep the neighborhood together. They tearing down what we trying to keep steady. We are the one that try to keep the city together, and we don't have many. I'm sick and tired of they trying to give the young people some money. I done worked all my life, and back when I worked, I wasn't making a lot of money. I ain't been on the system welfare. My mother didn't raise us on welfare either. She had 7 kids, and they can make it too. Get up off your butt and work like I did. Can't even get them to go to work now, so many vacant. Shouldn't nobody be on unemployment? Shouldn't nobody be getting unemployment? All these jobs out here, they don't want to work. They work the system. They work the system, these young people. I didn't make a lot of money, but it brought me through. And I went to work every day. And I'm sick and tired that Jones talking about what the low-income people need. Help us. We need help too. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, ma'am. I just want to make sure before, you can come on up, sir, just because I'm really big on misinformation and miscommunication. I hate for people to be misled into things. It like creates confusion, right, in our communities and keeps us distracted in our communities when people are coming through and taking from our communities. So as it relates to guaranteed basic income, you do not have to be a single parent. There's no age on that. It's just about if you're raising your children and or grandchildren, which is something that I fought for because in the community that I serve in, there are a lot of grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. So I just wanted to clear that up for informational purposes, just FYI, and then we'll go ahead and continue with you, sir.
My name is James Jones. I live in the 12th Ward. I've been living there over 30 years. And
Pull the mic to your mouth, sir.
okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yeah, I've been living in that neighborhood 30 years. Lived on that Labadie, St. Louis, Newstead, Euclid, Couples, 18th and Franklin. That's how, I've been here at St. Louis area over 60 years. And the areas I lived in, started downtown, it was better. As I moved north, it's okay. Moved a little further west, Cabanne, it's okay. Next door, okay. But I'm hearing all this about funds for the neighborhood, funds for the residents, which we do need them. The houses we're living in, over 100 years old, we need help trying to build them back up. And this money I heard about, over $12 million, and it's allocated, not thinking about the North City. Some city.
You're talking about the money in this bill, right?
I didn't read that.
I'm saying, when you say the $12 million, I want to make sure we're clear. You're talking about the $12 million in Board Bill 3?
3.
The board bill that we're here for today? Or I want to make sure we know where the $12 million figure came from.
Oh, I read that in a letter that was sent.
A text or a
Yeah,
post?
it's okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
some money was allocated for things to be done in the city, north, south, west, wherever it's at. North St. Louis needs some help.
Absolutely.
I mean, the residents getting older. I'm over 70 years old. I mean, I try to take care of my health. Veteran. And I come back to Missouri, and they're not doing nothing for the city. I mean, the guy asked me a month ago, I called a month ago about a stop sign on the corner. No, nobody comes, cars running fast, fast. In a city street, 25 miles an hour, but they going 60. I don't see no police no more. When I lived on Cabanne, I see police every day in my neighborhood. Every day. Just give you a ticket to run a stop sign. I mean, I know it's a lot of crime, but still, where the police at? I mean, the money, we need help building our homes back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know
there's
where all
time.
this money going.
Mr.
It's just not in the
Jones.
city, North City. That's what I heard from some people that works for the city.
Mr. Jones.
They just neglecting us. They take the money somewhere else. I don't know where y'all say y'all took that money. It was already allocated. I'm not hearing too well. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much, Mr.
I
Jones.
appreciate you for letting me talk, but.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones.
We need some help down there.
Absolutely, and as it relates to that stop sign, reach out to your citizen
But I
service.
did.
Okay.
I called again.
Somebody needs to follow up for you on that.
Before I got back home from the store, guy was out there putting it up.
Oh, that's good. They follow.
And I didn't get to call it back, but I asked him, he said, what happened? He said, we don't have but 2 street guys.
That's staffing issues. Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. Hey,
Hello,
how you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. My name is Dolores Powell, and I'm a resident in the 4400 of San Francisco Avenue. I've been there for about 34 years. I've always lived in the city. I worked for Bank of America for 40 years and was forced to retire early due to COVID. But I'm here today because my alderwoman invited me, and I thank you for that. I've never had that experience where I actually had an official invite me to anything directly, so it makes me feel proud that she would do that. Secondly, I am standing here because I couldn't sit there any longer and listen to what was going on without having something to say. I thank God for the opportunity today, but we in the city of St. Louis, senior citizens, I am now a senior citizen and I'm proud to be one. I am advocating for the other senior citizens in my neighborhood that I know work hard to keep their properties up, but not always have the funds to do so. We did learn of the Habitat for Humanity project that Alderwoman brought to us, and some people got involved with that, but this money that's being allocated in this bill that's not there concerns me. Number one is, like some of you have said here today, How could you allocate all of this money to so many different resources without thinking of your seniors? We are here. We are here to help hold our communities together, because without us, we're the glue. We're actually the glue to the community. So I am asking you for reappropriation of funds that have not yet been dispersed to our senior citizens, including myself. And I'm asking that that be done promptly, and that we would be notified, just like this amendment that just came forth today about the income requirement. Let's take income requirements off the board. That's what I'm asking. Take that off the board, because in many instances, if we make $1 over, just like this lady just said, we don't qualify. Thank you for that. We don't qualify. But I feel that we are in need just as any other person in the city. So I'm asking you to remove that income requirement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You know, again, I'm sorry, my heart won't let me do stuff like this. I mentioned earlier, I have people that are looking down on me today that wouldn't let me sleep at night, wouldn't let me morally not tell the truth and give the facts on processes and the facts on how things are regulated. And these ARPA dollars are regulated by HUD. HUD is a federal government agency. None of us at this table, not Alderwoman Keys, not Mayor Jones, none of us have the governor, none of us have a say on HUD regulations. But when you're allocating ARPA funding, they have to follow HUD guidelines. And those HUD guidelines, I assume we'll ask Alderwoman Keys. I'm sure one of us will ask her when we ask her our questions, but I'm sure that's why she had to put the amendment onto the bill today, not by her choice, but because, again, these are ARPA dollars and they are regulated by HUD guidelines, ma'am. So that's where that came from, and that's why she had to put that amendment on here this morning. We haven't even seen the amendment yet, but when we see it, we'll be able to ask her even more specific questions about that one. Thank you so much.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just want to make sure that's clear. My name is Lily Clay, and I'm president of Association Fairground. And Alderwoman Keys has really been doing a good job, and she's only been boots on the ground for a small time. And I want to echo everything everybody else said. I don't want to beat the dead horse to death. So my questions to you all is, what do we need to do in order to help her get this money allocated to us in a proper, most efficient, expedient way? Because it's needed. Like everybody else, I really don't personally need it myself, thank God, but everybody else in this room may be in a different situation, and we all really need it, and we're advocating for them. As the neighborhood association, we try to get housing, you know, the actual, try to keep crime away, clean the neighborhood, and as everyone else has said, we are the glue. But just for the sake of time, and everybody's getting tired, and we're older, you know, so my knees are hurting. So is there any way that we can advocate getting behind Alderwoman Keys to make this happen? So you all can, where the budget guy? Did he leave? Well, we need to get with the budget folks and whatever and see can we make this happen. I know you guys don't make the decision here, but can we go and make this expediently and make it happen? Because you put your hopes up for these people, and they came down here supporting her, and I don't want to say it was a waste of time, because we did gain some knowledge. But the thing of it is, you know, it's not, the money is already gone, and it's always happened on the north side. The money's always gone. Whenever something comes down, oh, we changed the rule. So I'm like, you know, let's go with this. And it was out there that we can get $500. Let's make it $1,000. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, ma'am, so much for that. So yeah, I will just speak briefly because I know it wasn't. You being here and you speaking was your level, and all of you all's level of advocacy. And Alderwoman Keys invited you all down here with the with this legislation and with her. So we'll let her, if nobody else wants to speak, we'll let her go ahead and answer the question, because a lot of these questions could have been answered prior to this part of the process. What happens is we introduce bills here, we work with the proper departments, we work with department heads. The budget director, it's not his checkbook, it's not like he makes up where this money will go and come from. He actually follows the direction of the legislation and the administration here in the city of St. Louis. And so all of these conversations sounds like still happen with the ARPA funding or whatever funding
Grants money,
that
ARPA
you.
money, any money.
Well, but we have to speak germane to this board bill that you have here in front of us, Alderwoman Keys, which is board bill number 3. Again, you said it best, ma'am, when you talked about hopes of, and we know when we're dealing with hopes of in our communities, that we also have to deal with process more than ever, and procedure, and doing stuff decent and in order, and making sure that people have the facts and the truth and the information to be able to advocate for themselves properly, and to be able to advocate for our communities properly. And I know that I don't know how many of you all were out, but just on Friday, we just had the 41st annual Bringing It Together, being out there at the Muni Park with all of those amazing seniors and Miss Ollie Stewart, and getting all those resources out there on the ground. I hate that anybody feels like they're being left behind, rather, in the city of St. Louis, because I can speak for myself personally, and I have in my heart that I believe that I can speak for my colleagues, that none of us intentionally would do that. But we will not also sit and let people be misled and misinformed about things when we know how processes work. So with that, I'll see, did we get the amendment yet for Alderwoman Keys? Okay. Did you print it out? Or?
Madam Chair, if I can, please address, and I want to just make something abundantly clear. This board bill that I put forth was done with all honesty and earnest intent. I have never, my character will not allow me to bring people together for something that is fruitless. I am a person who believes in hope, and with hope comes work. I've done some work, and I have much more work to do. I have a lot of things to learn. I'm happy to say that, because that means that I have the opportunity to continue to grow. With that being said, I am still going to work and advocate for my community that I have been a resident of for 34 years. I have lived in this city, with the exception of the first 3 years of my life. I work for people. I work for you. I don't work for the mayor. I don't work for the president of the Board of Aldermen or anyone else. You all are my boss. And I'm going to fight for you and do whatever it is that I can do to help to increase and to make your quality of life richer. So on my end, I want to be abundantly clear. I've made no effort to deceive, keep information away from anyone.
Okay, so you want to go ahead? We have amendment number 1 to board bill number 3. Would you like to read it, or would you like the clerk to read, so I can make sure that everyone is clear on it?
Mind, go ahead reading it.
Oh, you only have the 1 copy? I'm sorry.
Amendment 1 to Board Bill Number 3, to amend this Board Bill, page 2, line 19 to page 2, line 21 as follows. Beginning on page 2, line 19, following the words 12 months, to strike out the words senior citizens which individually or jointly own and occupy dwellings in the city of St. Louis and have owned and occupied said dwellings for a period of 10 or more years, and insert in lieu thereof to read in words and figures as follows. Senior citizens making less than $31,127 per year who individually own and occupy a dwelling in the city of St. Louis and have owned and occupied said dwelling for a period of 10 or more years, and senior citizens who combined make less than $39,151 per year and jointly own and occupy a dwelling in the city of St. Louis and have owned and occupied said dwelling for a period of 10 or more years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, I will introduce a motion to put amendment number 3 before us.
Motion, second? Oh, you need the motion. Motion to put
Amendment number 1.
amendment number 1 before us.
Second.
Okay. Previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Okay. So again, one of the things I made sure that that you all were well informed about is that ARPA dollars have HUD restrictions on them. So that is where that came from, right? So I know someone mentioned about this amendment being put on right before, and again, that was Alderwoman Keys, I think, just in her intention,
Well, at the
trying
direction
to
of
make,
our comptroller.
right. But again, I want to, because I talked to her as well, the comptroller doesn't have a say on HUD guidelines either.
I
So
agree.
the HUD guidelines were on there.
Fine.
So with that being said, I guess I'll just go ahead and open it up to the floor, see if any of the committee members have any questions. I had questions. I know I emailed Alderwoman Keys this morning. I had sent her an email a week or so ago when asking her if she wanted to have this heard today. And so I have some follow-up on that. And I gave her some of the questions that had been asked of myself and some others. I can ask those. I told her, wanted to make sure we ask them publicly so that you all, again, are properly informed and ready to be able to advocate. But with that, I'll open it up to my committee members. Alderman Browning, do you have any?
Are these questions just about the amendment or about the whole bill?
So the amendment is now on the bill, so now we are on Board Bill 3 as amended.
Okay. First question I have is, do you know how many seniors would be eligible for this? Do we have an estimate on how many would be
Yes, the
qualify?
original estimate was 2,000 senior citizens at $500 a month for 12 months, which equaled $12 million.
So my understanding is that, yes, that is how much the 12 million could pay for, but do we know how many seniors in the city would be eligible to apply?
Well, no, we don't have that data. But if we look at the median income of seniors across the city, I'm sure that there are more than 2,000 people who would more than likely qualify.
That's my thought as well. Do you know, would it be first come, first serve on the applications?
You know, those are things that I believe would be fleshed out as the bill would move forward. If it would be first come, first serve, or, you know, who gets all of their paperwork in first, you know, that's something that would be fleshed out by whatever committee this is put under to manage it.
So understood. And do you know, or do you have an idea what the administrative portion of this would look like? What department would handle that?
I do not.
Can each member of a household apply, or is that a detail?
No, it would be only one household member would apply.
Okay, and then the last question I have is specific to line 5 of page 3. Hang on, I had it open. Line 5 of page 3, I think it's a typo. I just want to double check. It says the implementation of an emergency vehicle traffic signal preemption system.
Yeah, I called the attorney about that. I think that was tagged on by mistake. That doesn't have anything to do with that one. It just ended up being a part of the attachment that they forgot to take off.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions for now. Thank you.
All right. Alderwoman Sanye, do you have any questions?
Hi, Alderwoman Keys.
Hello, Alderwoman Sanye.
Thank you for all of your work, for engaging your residents, specifically our senior citizens. I'm new here, but I've never seen this much turnout of senior citizen engagement, so I'm very happy to see it. Some of my questions, like you mentioned, we're all here, we're all learning together, so some of my questions, I want to see how this works, and then I think it will help the public learn how this works as well.
Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned that in last legislative season is where some of these conversations started about this particular appropriation, this specific thing. Since this new legislative session and new Board of Aldermen, have you had any conversations around this particular bills, and specifically with members of ENA?
No, I haven't. I have spoken with some other aldermen about it. I talked about it last session with our chair and with other people here, that this is something that was needed, and so for some reason, we never had a hearing on it when it was Board Bill 177. I don't know why that happened. And then the session ended, we came back, so I resubmitted.
Okay, so today was with the comptroller, I guess that was kind of the first conversation in regards to this particular
Correct.
bill.
Correct.
And then my follow-up question is, in regards to the allocation amount, I'm not sure if we plan on calling this for a vote today, but essentially since there is no allocation amount, but I heard you saying you would be interested in exploring other avenues. We do
Absolutely.
have other money coming because this is gone. So I just want to also let you know that I'm open to having like those conversations moving forward for other entities. When this bill was coming, you just were kind of thinking that it was the same thing as last session, like.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I was going off the previous information that I had at the time when I originally wrote the bill, which was shortly after the original bill that was submitted by Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard on behalf of the mayor's office.
Okay. And have you, this session or last session, have you carried, I've seen how it works sometimes where we have things from ENA, like it says on our agenda, the Board of Estimate and Apportion, and I saw that here too. So I was thinking that maybe there was some type of conversation or something like that, because it usually says it's recommended by ENA.
Not that I've been privy to, so.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions.
Hey, Alderwoman Schweitzer, you have any questions?
Thank you so much. I think a lot of my questions have already been asked. Thank you for being here and for bringing this bill forward and for allowing us to hear from seniors. Yeah, I think this, like I said, my questions have been asked. I think that it needs some more time to figure out where the money would come from and,
I agree, it
figure that
does need
piece
to be
out.
fleshed out.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think we're at the beginning. So I appreciate your time today. Thanks.
Okay, Alderman Cone.
Good afternoon, Alderwoman. Just curious, what's your intent with the board bill for today then? Do you expect us to take a vote on this today?
I would
or-
like a vote on it today, yes, thank you.
Okay, so if that's the case, I have a couple questions. So the language that the alderman from the
Seven?
7th Ward, thank you. Yeah, 7th Ward. Is that going to be removed from is there an amendment to remove that language since it's not germane to the board bill?
Which language, that
language
part
about-
on there about the streetlights or something?
The emergency vehicle traffic
Yeah,
signal
I-
preemption? That
Yeah,
should be
I've
removed.
already talked to the attorney about that, and that was, I think, tacked on by mistake.
But that's what's in the board bill currently, so it would need to be
Right,
removed.
I don't know that he had enough time to take that out, but I will certainly readdress that. But I had a telephone call and said, hey, what is this? And he's all, we'll get that out of there.
Okay, generally that's removed in committee though.
Okay.
So, and then, is it there's no geographic restriction on this? We heard from a lot of people that, North St. Louis isn't
No,
getting
it's
enough attention.
citywide. It
so
is
this
not
would still
only for
be-
North St. Louis. Senior citizens all across the city boundaries would be eligible to take part in the application process, for this if we can get it through.
Okay. And then there's references to both the comptroller and the treasurer's office in the board bill. Have there been any I
Well,
heard
yeah,
at
spoke
least
with
the
the
comptroller.
earlier this morning, but certainly we can circle back around and have those conversations to make sure that those things in place. Again, I am new.
Yeah.
You know, but what I'm asking for is not, it's not for me. It's for our seniors, it's for our citizens, the people that we serve.
I can't speak for everyone on the committee, but I think many of us have a great appreciation for our seniors, particularly in our communities, but across the city as a whole, and would like to support them however we can. But we have to do things in a certain way to make sure that things are legal and that they follow our rules. So, you know, typically when we have allocations of funds, we name who's responsible for the administration of those funds. And that's not particularly clear in the board bill because there's references to the comptroller authorizing to direct and issue warrants, but then the allocation, at least based off of what I can interpret here, is that the allocation would then go to the treasurer's office, but it doesn't specifically mention which one of those offices is going to be administering the program itself.
As you know, when we prepare a board bill and we send it to our city's attorney and our clerk, they put together that language. So again, I'm more than willing to go back and say, hey, is this what you meant? But, you know, that's not language that I put together. None of us do.
Yeah, no, I understand that you didn't draft the board bill directly. Typically we have those things fleshed out in committee before we pass it out to the broader board. I certainly would feel more comfortable voting on something that addressed those concerns prior to being voted out of committee. So I don't know if we're prepared to have that discussion this afternoon, or if we need to have another committee hearing where those amendments are prepared and ready to be adopted.
Okay, that's a different direction than I was going to speak on, but I'll speak on that first. We all are supportive of our seniors, and we all want to be supportive of you, Alderwoman Key, so we don't want to do anything that would sabotage your intent, right? And where you wanted to take this legislation. And again, this is all public record, everybody's listening. And some of the things you stated about the conversations that hadn't been had yet, and then the amendments that need to be made, and that you would take the time. I think, I know you stated that you would rather us vote on it, but the worst case is if we vote it out of here and it gets on the floor and then it dies. And you've been around long enough. I noticed you've been around legislation, you've been around the Board of Aldermen, you've been around city politics long enough that I think you've seen that happen, and we don't want that to happen. And so you mentioned that the Board of Aldermen's lawyer, counselor, did some of the verbiage for you, that's what you had just said. But so are you speaking about the city councilor's office or
Well, no,
Lou Galvin?
this is Lou, and this is our clerk.
Okay. And Terry Kennedy.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
this is what they sent back to me.
Okay.
So could there have been a mistake on their end? I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but it happens. We're dealing with human beings, and so this is Tuesday. Here it is on a Tuesday. We have to have all board bills in by noon. Just like that thing about the street lights that got attached by mistake, those sorts of things are real and they do happen. And so no malice on their end, but it's an error that has occurred that can be corrected.
Mm-hmm. So did you, I guess, to Alderman Cohn's question, would you rather us wait for you to work with the counselor to try to get the amendments in, to get it corrected now?
Well, I certainly don't want this board bill killed. It needs to move
So that's what I'm offering. And if you're saying that you would like to go work with your people now, the people now to get it, and then...
I would certainly like that.
So with that, we'll have to take a recess because Alderwoman Keys would like to go work with our clerk and our legal counsel for the Board of Aldermen and maybe have the conversation she needs to have for the other, for ENA and get the amendments back to us. And just so I'm clear, with what that will be is for your guests, to know. Are you saying to hold it and get this work done and then come back to committee, or you would like us to hold in committee until you get that done? Because we're
I
trying
would
to be
say let us-
supportive of you.
Let us hold it. I appreciate everyone who came down, everyone who is still here. I understand life goes on. Everybody's got some stuff that they need to do or someplace they need it or need to be. So I would like to release them and leave this to me to work on in hopes that we can get this to a point where it needs to be, where it's something that is viable. We certainly don't want to birth a baby before it's time.
Yeah, I would just offer my support. You know, I obviously we need to go talk to some other stakeholders. I will be happy, you know, however I can help. Like I know we all
And there are a
share
few
that.
other aldermen that have expressed that they would like to co-sponsor on this bill
Oh, I
as
wish they
well.
would have said it.
Yeah.
That would have been good for them to be here today, too. Okay, so, just so again, so I'm clear, you would like to bring the bill back to committee, go
would.
work on it and bring it back to committee. So what happens, you all, just for, again, I love this part, because we get to be open and honest with our constituency. In committees, you can either have a do pass recommendation, a no pass, do not pass recommendation, or a no recommendation. But the better thing to do, if you are really intentional about getting something done and getting it done the right way on the behalf of your constituency, is to have it, do the work and get it done and bring it back to committee so that it passes our committee as clean as it can be, so that you don't have as big of a back and forth on the floor, which is not a position that we can work with our constituency on. So again, you heard me say that's why I love this part of the legislative process, because this is when we get to hear and engage from you all. So again, Alderwoman Keys, you're gonna go work back on the bill, so we're gonna hold the bill, and then we will come back to committee for a vote on it?
Are we talking about today?
Not today.
Oh, we
Oh,
talking
thank
about,
God. Okay.
okay, no, we talking about as soon,
At a
I know
later
you said, as well as others, you know, as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible, yes,
So,
thank you.
okay, all right, well, thank you so much again. Thank you all for coming out today, everybody that took the time out of your days. Let's make sure, let's give them a round of applause. If you have any questions about this process, about how this process works, about ENA, you know what, a lot of us have just said ENA, and we didn't say what that was. Some people might not know, or some listeners might not know. That's the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, and that is our mayor, Mayor Jones, our comptroller, Comptroller Green, and our president of the board, President Megan Green. And they are the three that would also need to have approved any kind of legislation like this, not just this one, but any kind of legislation like this, right? And so I want to make sure that everybody understands the process and it comes to us. And so if you have any questions, even past this, even you listeners, if you have any questions past this, please reach out to your alderperson, or please state them, email them publicly so that we can answer them publicly, because it's such a disservice when there's misinformation out and when people spread and continue to spread misinformation. It's a disservice when the people that are really out here trying to advocate and fight for their communities. And I see people in this room that have been doing that for decades, Mr. L.I.C. So with that being said, we're going to, I don't think we probably have any other announcements, members? Okay, and know that we've been having good discussion this entire meeting, so let's see, and all members were present, so we don't need to excuse, so I will accept the motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, previous roll.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman Keys, and thank you all again.